weeks ago. I'm wearing these dangly earrings and these kind of like dangly rings, if you can see. I'm gonna do a little hair play if I can. It's always a little hard when I'm one-handed, but a little hair play. Yeah, and we're just gonna chat. I also have my closet door cracked open, just a little bit, just a little bit. So there's a little sliver of natural light coming in, and it's also cooling me off a little bit, just to have some movement of the air, some movement. But you may also be able to hear the traffic a bit more, so we will see. Some of you already know that I was in Mexico recently. I went in part for business, in part for pleasure. There were two parts to the trip, and actually it kind of divides evenly into like business versus pleasure. The first part was at a ranch, and that was business. And the second part was at the beach, which was not for business. I just got back yesterday, and I'm still not quite adjusted to the time difference. I feel very also leaving the next day. Can you tell what I mean about my throat? I feel like I'm swallowing more than usual. Anyway, they were also leaving the next day, but way earlier than me. So my friend and this other person woke up at like 3 or 4 in the morning to leave. And I heard them because I was on the couch in the living room. No big deal, but I noticed that they left. And I tried to fall back asleep. And I kind of did. And then I woke up again with this feeling in the pit of my stomach. There was this feeling in the pit of my stomach. I wasn't scared, but I was like, something is amiss. And I laid there for a bit and I thought, no, I'm just overreacting. I'm just in my head about it or something. And I was like, no, something doesn't feel right. So I got up from the couch and I walked the length of the living room to look at the front door because it was around a corner. And I looked around the corner and the front door to the apartment was wide open at like 4:30 at night. So I closed it. There was no way to lock it from the inside, which is weird but true. I think different fire codes or something. So I just I didn't lock it, I closed it. And I assumed my friend had closed the door. She doesn't lock her door normally, but she does close the door normally. But that like maybe some wind had kind of like pushed it open, because the balcony doors were open. So maybe there was a change in air pressure or something, and that's what happened. I don't know. But it was like, oh, I don't want to say I was scared. I wasn't quite scared, but it definitely increased my heart rate a bit. And after that, I had a hard time falling asleep again. So I probably only slept like 2 or 3 hours that night. And I still haven't caught up on sleep yet. So I'm tired. But I wanted to film something for you today. I'm not going to make it tonight. Like, not going to make it late tonight. So I was like, I'll just do it now. Long preamble. Yes. So, first we went to the ranch and we worked. Some of you who are in Coffee Club already know this, but I'll tell you different things about it, which is just that it's in a rural area with really high altitude, so like elite runners go there to train. And we were there for something else. It hosts all kinds of groups, like elite runners, and there's cobblestone staircase to the ranch. So lush, so full of like beautiful plants and free-range cows and all these very friendly farm dogs that we just loved. One already had a name, Chispa, and so did another. His name was Lobo. And the third one, we didn't know his name, his official name. So we named him Cookie because he stole our homemade cookies. So if you want to hear more about those dogs, you can check it out. It's one of my coffee club rambles. But anyway, in the afternoons we would do the most work, like after our free time, alone time in the morning. And we did it on this wooden deck that overlooked this great green hilly hillside, and in the very distance you could see a volcano like that. And in the afternoons, the rain came, always, with thunder so loud you could barely, you could hear one another talking, but you had to speak up to be heard over the thunder. And it would just downpour. And it was so nice because you had a task, we were working, but you were outside, so it felt so fresh, the air. But also you were dry, you were covered, you were dry. And so it was just like the perfect place to be during those afternoon rains, feeling both refreshed and kind of like cozily hunkered down and sort of productive, but in a low-key way with your group. So that was well scheduled. We had lots of vegan food because my friend cooks a lot of vegan food. I'm not vegan myself, but it was delicious. Some vegan, like zucchini spiral pad thai, arepas. We had arepas. We also had, I can't remember what else, but it was all delicious. And then we drove back, and then was the beach part of the trip. We went to this little beach on the west coast of Mexico. So we stayed at this sort of like resort type place. It has a little bit of a hippie vibe. I think they host, again, all kinds of groups, including yoga retreat people and things like that. So it has like a little bit of a hippie vibe, a little bit of a grungy vibe, but it's not super grungy hippie. It's like bougie, grungy hippie, if you follow. And it was low season, so we had to be prepared for a turn in the weather, like for the worst, maybe, in which case we would have to leave, but that didn't happen. There were some big storms, but they were all safe, and we were safe, and they only occurred in the evening, like around early dinner time, kind of, so it wasn't bad. I stayed with one friend in a room, and then the other two friends, we were four total. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, they stayed in the other room, and it was gorgeous. We could see the ocean from our room, hot sauce, just like spoons it when everyone's done with the meal. Just like spoons it out of the little pot or bowl it comes in and just eats it straight. Just eats it straight. Very impressive. Also kind of crazy in my opinion, but chilaquiles, juicy pudding, fruit, some like egg situations in the morning. Like really one day there was really good scrambled eggs with, it doesn't sound that exciting, but when I tell you they were fresh, okay? Really fresh green beans in the scrambled eggs. Who knew that that would be a life-changing moment for me? But I loved that so much. And what else? Sometimes like little apple muffins, little pancakes. Pancakes with strawberry, or pancakes made out of plátano. So we would have our free breakfast, and then we would go post up in these certain chairs under this cabana, under a cabana, which is important for me because I'm like pretty pale, and the more shade I get, the better. So yeah, I, luckily didn't get burned, in part because we always posted up under this cabana. We would run out and like make sure to get those chairs. And then we would just read all day, watch the waves, and we did go swimming in the ocean, but we've done this trip before, and that time it was a different time of year, only by a month or so, but the water was so much more calm. So we swam in the ocean much more frequently, like many times a day that year. This year the water was a little more rough, so probably like once or twice a day only we would go into the ocean. There was also a hot tub and a pool, so we were plenty happy. I would go into the ocean. I love the ocean, and I can swim.